So what we call a senior defense official defense attache, so it's sort of a combined role where we worry both about being sort of the formal interface with the Australian Defence Force and being carrying out representational duties on behalf of the United States Department of Defense, as well as advising the Chief of Mission here in Australia, and kind of having an oversight role over all of the U.S. activities, U.S. defense activities happening here in Australia, which is frankly pretty enormous. There are an awful lot of things going on, and I'm almost surprised every day when I come across things that, wow, we do that here too? That's amazing. I think for myself, it's almost sort of daily astonishing, and I don't really think there is any relationship, any bilateral relationship in the world that could possibly exceed it. It really is, there's a level of cooperation and integration that is almost on a scale that I wasn't ready for. I have had some previous experience doing attaché work, and was sort of used to being in the middle of all of the discussions that happen between the two militaries that I'm involved with. It's not possible here. There's so much going on that it's really a challenge just to keep up with it all. First of all, I mean, again, it's that level of integration. And actually, I think what's really critical for people to understand that it is a very, very equal relationship in many respects. Obviously, the United States is a much bigger country, but Australia is a very technologically advanced country, and some of the things that we are doing together cooperatively, I mean, there are places where we're a couple of steps ahead, but there are places where Australia is a couple of steps ahead, and we are benefits of those kinds of things. And again, through the use of cooperative programs and embedded officers and all the rest of those things, what we're finding is that we are really very much stronger together, and we get a lot of synergy. There's a number, so we begin sort of with those embedded officers on both sides. I've spent a few days here in Western Australia. I've been with US activities, I've been with Australian activities where there are US people embedded. I've been with joint US-Australian development projects. All of those things are happening on a daily basis. We also have a number of joint exercises, the most important obviously, or at least certainly the most visible of which is Talisman Sabre, which, I mean, last time we were talking about over 30,000 troops off of Eastern Australia. And what that does is it allows us together to operate at a very, very, very high level of warfare in a way that we don't get to do very often with a partner nation. And it's very hard to replicate anywhere else. A lot of that is these days evolving around what we call the force posture initiatives, and that has two pieces to it. There's the very well-known now, the Marine Rotational Force Darwin. They conduct a series of exercises during their six-month rotation, and those exercises are run the gamut from humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, all the way to high-end warfare. And many of them are becoming more and more not just bilateral, but trilateral and multilateral. We're able to regionally engage with other countries here in the region that are of importance, both the US and Australia. The other piece of that is what we call enhanced air cooperation, where we bring US aircraft here to interoperate with Australian aircraft. And again, Australia is rapidly becoming the world's first, what we would consider completely fifth-generation Air Force. Meaning that almost all of its aircraft are very soon going to be of the very latest generation, and that gives us a tremendous opportunity from a U.S. perspective to really push our game and up our game and do things that would be very hard to do anywhere else. I think that's still being worked on, so we'll see how that comes out. What is undeniably true is that the world is turning its attention to the Indo-Pacific, and part of it is just the nature of what is happening in this part of the world, the rise of India as a very, very important international power, the shrinking of the globe, if you will, is in terms of taking that massive distances that used to be so prohibitive here in the Indo-Pacific, and kind of shrinking those down so that people are recognizing, you know, this part of the world is really, really important to global trade and investment and all of those kinds of things. And so the U.S. is certainly a player in that, and we want to be very, very integrally involved with how this region develops. Yeah, I don't know that anyone has sat down with a map and decided what the Indo-Pacific means, but I don't know that people necessarily sit down with a map and decide what anything necessarily means when they use a term like that. But it's clearly a recognition that this entire region, going through India and all the way to the east coast of Africa, is going to be of national strategic importance to pretty much everyone. And so we are very, very focused on maintaining our interest in this part of the world, and the renaming of the monitoring, if you will, of the region as the Indo-Pacific is simply a recognition of reality. That it's what we used to call the Asia-Pacific really includes this region as well. And it's not that anything has changed as far as the map. It's just sort of a recognition of what is of growing importance in the world.